How could a prophet know 2,000 years ago that a time would come when there would be world wars? And how would a prophet know back then that a time would come when men would be capable of destroying the planet? This was not even possible until the Industrial Revolution, when large-scale agriculture and modern weaponry were invented. The evidence that the prophets were inspired by a God who knows the future is compelling and convincing. Our other reason for believing is that we have a personal experience with the power of God's promise to change our lives and of His gospel, which gives us peace. Jesus warned us that the last days on earth will be difficult, and He has warned us how to know when these days are nearby. In short, He says that when we see a fruit tree putting out blossoms, we know that it will soon produce fruit. In a similar way, when we see certain signs, which will be discussed in a moment, we know that things are developing rapidly and that we are at the end of time. And Jesus also said more, for He assures us that the signs will all happen in the span of one generation. In other words, many of those who witnessed the first sign will also be able to witness the final sign. Now learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near, at the doors. Assuredly, I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Matthew 24, verses 32 to 34. And what were the signs that Jesus said His followers should watch for? And when should we watch for them? He said we should watch for the special signs soon after the persecution of the Middle Ages closed. And just as He hinted would happen, the persecution ended some 50 years before the Pope was taken captive in 1798. The faithful were, as a gift from God, spared decades of oppression to give the true church a chance to prepare to take the gospel to the world. And what signs should we now watch for? And there will be signs in the sun and the moon and in the stars, and on the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Luke 21, verse 25. The first sign happened in 1755. This was the Great Lisbon Earthquake, and it was the subject of news reports throughout all the European states. It is estimated the earthquake killed 100,000 Europeans in one day. In terms of per capita destruction, it may yet be the most serious earthquake to have happened on Earth. And like many deadly quakes, most of the Lisbon earthquake's destruction came from a devastating tsunami, which are the sea and the waves roaring. The next sign happened 25 years later, on May 19, 1780. In just a matter of hours, in the middle of the day, it turned as dark as night, and the moon seemed to be red as blood. Many people realized this was a warning, and that they should prepare for the end of time. Remember that Jesus said the generation that sees these signs would not die until they all happened. A teenager who experienced the Lisbon earthquake would have been 40 on the dark day and 93 when the last sign appeared, in 1833. That year, there was a meteor shower of historical proportions, unlike any that came before or after in the minds of the people who saw it with their own eyes. The people watching the stars fall described the experience of looking up and seeing hundreds of points of light each hour, streaking from one starting point in the night sky and lasting from about midnight until sunrise. From the fig tree illustration of Jesus, His followers learned that they should begin expecting Christ to return after seeing these signs. And this is how the movement to prepare for Christ's return began to grow and prosper. This is the same movement, the Adventist movement, that is taking these messages to the whole world and is reaching out now to you. Revelation 11 gives other signs that help us know that we live at the end time. In the prophecy that foretold the history of the Ottoman Empire up to the 19th century, we also find information of things that would happen later. The prophecy says that when Jesus returns, it will be to punish people who have been destroying the earth. and it will be at a period when nations are angry. The nations were angry, and your wrath has come, in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that you should reward your servants the prophets and the saints, and those who fear your name, small and great, and should destroy those who destroy the earth. Revelation 11, verse 18. These two characteristics describe our time. Are not the nations angry? How could a prophet know 2,000 years ago that a time would come when there will be world wars? And how would a prophet know back then that a time would come when men will be capable of destroying the planet? This was not even possible until the Industrial Revolution, when large-scale agriculture and modern weaponry were invented. The evidence that the prophets were inspired by a God who knows the future is compelling and convincing. Our other reason for believing is that we have a personal experience with the power of God's promise to change our lives and of His gospel, which gives us peace. Anyone can have access to the first type of evidence, the prophecies of the Bible, but only those who taste and see how good the Lord is can have access to the second type of evidence. Taste and see. You will never regret. In our next video, we will look at how God's faithful people today are different from popular Christianity that is found around the world.